So last year, when Toho did their first direct market global release of a Blu-ray with Godzilla Minus One, it was a bit confusing to say the least. There was a lot of additions and it wasn't exactly clear what came with what. So when it came to this year, when they released Shin Godzilla under their new company they purchased, GKids, the question became, is it just as confusing, or did they take the hint?
It's morphin' time!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and today we are talking about the Toho and GKids release of Shin Godzilla. It's on 4K, it's on Blu-ray. We need to discuss how many versions are there, because there's pretty much just as many versions of Godzilla Minus One, but not quite there yet. And then also, how does it compare to Funimation's 2017 release of the film? And I've got all those questions ready to be answered in this video. It is really exciting to have another Godzilla release, and especially a new 4K release, because I feel like that's where we're going with the rest of the series. So if you want to keep up with future videos on the channel, be sure to subscribe to the notification bell, and while you're down there, hit that like button if you enjoy these type of reviews. So we're going to get into all the details here, and I'm going to break this down into 3 sections. We're going to first go over all the additions that exist. Secondly, we're going to go over the contents of the discs. And then thirdly, we're going to compare it to Shin Godzilla. So let's begin by talking about which versions you can get this movie on, because there's, well, 4 of them. So for context on Shin Godzilla as a film, this was a 2016 movie headed up by Hideaki Anno of Evangelion and many other fame, and this started kind of his trend to do Shin versions of the classic Tokusatsu he enjoyed, and he did Shin Ultraman and Shin Kamen Rider after this. So this was kind of the beginning of that sort of pseudo-trilogy of focused on a singular creator, though he has had help from people like Shinji Higuchi on several of these projects. Well, the important part is that Shin Godzilla is a retelling of the original Godzilla story, but in a modern setting, with a lot of correlation to real-world events and a lot of updated political commentary, more so than the original 1954 version. Now, this version of Godzilla is terrifying. He is a monster, and there is really no redeeming him in this movie, and that movie can be a little bit heavy and difficult for a lot of reasons. But we're here to talk about the release of this film, so if you haven't seen it before and you're wanting to pick it up for your Godzilla collection, you gotta know which edition to get. So what we're gonna do first, with the Godzilla Minus One release, which I did a whole video on breaking down all the editions of that, because there was quite a few. I kind of went into, like, it was confusing what came with what, and ultimately every release had what was the important stuff. And they've kind of repeated that with Shin Godzilla, except they've made it a lot clearer this time. With Shin Godzilla, what they've done is they've color-coded all of the Blu-ray discs. So basically, we can look at the Blu-ray discs and know what colored discs are what. So that way, we know what's on the discs. So let's go through the editions, starting with the fanciest. So we do have the Collector's Edition, which is a Godzilla Store exclusive. It is a 4K and Blu-ray combo set. So this contains the purple disc, which is Shin Godzilla on 4K UHD, the red disc, which is Shin Godzilla on Blu-ray, the black disc, which contains Shin Godzilla Orthochromatic, which is a black and white version of the film, the white disc, which is the bonus disc, and then has fancy packaging with a recreation of the Japanese behind-the-scenes booklet. So that edition is for your fanciest collectors, your high-end, Super Godzilla fan types. Now, going one step down, we have the 4K Steelbook, which I didn't get the Steelbook for Minus One because I didn't feel like I needed a Blu-ray copy of the movie. I got the Steelbook for Shin Godzilla because when I was making my pre-order, I was like, well, I can spend $5 more and get a Steelbook, so why not? So this edition is going to be 3 discs. So basically what we have here is, in addition to the fancy packaging we'll look at in a moment, we have the purple disc, which is the 4K disc, the red disc, which is the Blu-ray of the movie, and the white disc, which is the bonus features, meaning that the black disc with the black and white version is exclusive to the Godzilla Store Special Collector's Edition. But otherwise, you get both versions of the movie, both the 4K UHD and the regular Blu-ray here, and then you also get the entire bonus feature lineup on the white disc. And you can see here we've got a nice image of Godzilla nuking Tokyo. Not also the nicest image, but that is a iconic image. And then we got Godzilla using his heat ray breath, which looked really terrifying in this film. And it carries across the Steelbook, which I really like. I think it's kind of what made me go, oh, maybe I do want the Steelbook. Because it's like $5 more, and that's a really, really cool cover versus the kind of standard Shin Godzilla poster art that I'm not a super huge fan of. But I do really like the way this steelbook looks. Of course, we'll go on to the contents of the discs here in the next segment. But basically, if you don't need the black and white version and you don't need the fancy box, the steelbook's going to be like your fancy collector version, ultimately. It also has a promo. It's like, go check out Godzilla.com for toys and collectibles and stuff, which I think is great. So we will go over, of course, the disc contents, but that is what the steelbook edition is like. The standard 4K version will contain just the purple disc, which is, of course, the movie on 4K, and the white disc, which is the bonus features disc. And the standard Blu-ray will contain the red disc, which is the movie on Blu-ray, and the white disc, which is the bonus disc. So no matter which edition you get, you're going to get all the bonus features that are included on the white disc. It is the same across the board, and that's pretty cool. So to kind of recap, basically, your 4K and your Blu-ray, it's do you want 4K, do you want Blu-ray? Your steelbook is do you want both? And if you want the black and white version, you would need the Godzilla Store Collector's Edition. So honestly, they've made this a lot simpler than the Godzilla Minus One release, where I was trying to figure out what was with what, and there was multiple collector's editions, and it got very confusing very quickly. But I'm happy that they streamlined it here, and they made it a lot clearer with the color-coded discs being consistent across the board. Alright, so before we go into the disc contents, I want to preface this, because I'm not exactly sure if I was clear in the disc contents filming. The purple disc is the 4K, the red disc is the Blu-ray, and the white disc is the bonus features. So now let's take a look at what is on every disc, as well as discuss things like on-screen text, subtitle quality, and the differences in some of the features here. Because it's basically pretty straightforward, but I want to kind of break it down and make it simple. Okay, so here we have the 4K disc for Shin Godzilla. The screen just kind of plays some clips from the movies. We, of course, have play movie, chapters, and settings. For settings, we can see we have Japanese 3.1 audio, we have English 3.1 audio, which I believe is a new dub different than the one from the Funimation release, which we'll talk about in a little bit when we get to comparisons. And then for subtitles, we got the English for the Japanese translation, English for hard of hearing, and then we have Espanol and French. So we've got, English, Spanish, French on subtitles, which is nice. We're going to go with the Japanese version with the English subtitles for some visual comparisons here. So first things first, the title of the film is presented in its Japanese with a little subtitle to delineate what it says. I'll also say that it's kind of funny. This movie has like a ridiculous amount of chapter stops because you have one chapter stop for just the GKids logo. Then you have another chapter stop that is just, so it's GKids logo and Toho is chapter stop 1. Then chapter stop 2 will pop up basically on the next logo, which is the Japanese Toho logo. Then chapter stop 3 is that blue title card. Then chapter stop 4 is the Shin Godzilla title card. And then chapter stop 5 is like the copyright symbol before the movie starts. So you got 5 chapter marks in like 30 seconds, which is kind of weird. That being said, dialogue subtitles are in a nice bold yellow. Love to see that. And on-screen text is translated in white, so that way you have your subtitle to match your on-screen text, plus the on-screen text is here, and you have your yellow subtitles for dialogue. Visually, the movie looks really good, and you can get a good sense of the picture, the quality, and the audio quality. It's all stellar. It's not anything you would... It's a movie that's only 10 years old at this point. It's good. There's nothing really to complain about. I was trying to show more of the subtitles, but every time I try to do that, the little progress bar pops up. So there's the subtitles right there and how they appear in normal dialogue, which I like to see. Honestly, in terms of a Ultra HD 4K disc, this is really solid. I got no complaints, and let's go take a look at the other discs. So the Blu-ray version of the disc is basically just the 4K disc, but in 1080p instead of 4K, of course. Same settings for audio and subtitles, same chapter markers. It's just what we looked at, but this is for all the non-UHD players out there. So our third disc is where all the bonus features lie, and it's the same exact menu that we've seen so far for all the other discs, but of course, now we get our bonus features. Okay, so starting off, we have a promotional video collection. We got the 30-minute making of Shin Godzilla. We've got 45 minutes of deleted scenes, because Anno, as a filmmaker in general, seems to over-direct things. But anyways, you got deleted scenes. We've got 16 minutes of outtakes, including test footage, We've got 35 minutes of the newsreels that are appearing in the movie, 28 minutes of a previs reel collection, 20 minutes of a previs and special effects outtakes collection, an 18-minute visual effects breakdown, plus 2 trailers and 2 teasers, putting together a very substantial bonus feature lineup for this release. Like, this is very nice, and the fact that this bonus disc is included with most copies of the movie is really great to see. And I think kind of separating these from the main movie disc was smart, because that way this disc can be included no matter what version you're getting. Now let's take a look and see how these are subtitled. So on-screen text is subtitled as you would expect, nice bright yellow, making it easy. So you can see also dialogue subtitles presented just like they are for the movie. And the fact this is all subtitled as well is very nice. Now the only downside is that you only get English subtitles for the bonus features. So the extra subtitle quality, so the only downside is that you only get English subtitles for the bonus features. For the movies, we got, French and Spanish, and we got English for hearing impaired, but it's only English subtitles for all of the bonus features, which is a bit of a bummer, but not too unexpected. That's pretty standard these days, sad to say. Also very glad to see that the newsreels bonus feature, you have the dialogue here, and then you have the on-screen text, which is down here, done across the top. So everything's translated, which I'm really happy to see, because it's not very common. So unlike Godzilla Minus One, which that was the first ever home video release for that movie in North America, Shin Godzilla did come out through Funimation back in 2017. And maybe that's also why I wanted this cover, because this is essentially the same cover that GKids used. This release was packed in a black case, which was pretty cool. It did get a second release later. This first release was a combination of Blu-ray and DVD. 1 disc Blu-ray, 1 disc DVD. And that was pretty much that. Oh, I guess I forgot that that was a reversible cover there. So it was a reversible cover on this one. But this Funimation release was the one we had for a while, though fans of the film were not quite happy with it for a lot of reasons. But, of course, we got to wonder, how does it compare visually? How does it compare audio-wise? And how does it compare bonus feature-wise? Because there's a lot of differences when we start talking about the English audio between the two of them. And was there any bonus features left behind on this previous release that were worth carrying over that they didn't? Let's find out as we deep dive into the differences between the Funimation release, which was the 2017, and the GKids 2025 release. So now it's time to compare with Funimation's Shin Godzilla release from almost a decade ago. This was the release of the movie that we had for the longest time. So for options, they had Japanese and English, and then subtitles on or off, depending. So we got a lot more options on the new release. Their extra features included a Godzilla vs. the Nerds interview, which isn't transferred over, but was produced by Funimation, and it honestly isn't that good. So I'm not thinking we lost anything there. And trailers, you think would be trailers for Shin Godzilla, but knowing this is a Funimation release, these trailers are actually for completely other things that Funimation had licensed. So one of the weird things about the Funimation release was that the on-screen text was just not there. I don't know if this is just what Toho gave them or something, but they would put like the location markers like you would have in the movie, but the on-screen text does not appear here. So on the GKids version, where it does have the on-screen text, that is for me the biggest improvement out of anything, is that the on-screen text is restored where it was missing on the Funimation release. Also visually, it's not going to be noticeable on the camera, but visually the GKids release is much nicer. For some reason the Funimation release, which, Dragon Ball fans are going to be traumatized by this sentence, is a little green. I don't know why, it looks a little green, and the GKids presentation on not only the 4K and the Blu-ray is just a much higher quality transfer of this film. Okay, so there is a different English dub on the Funimation release than on the GKids release. The movie was redubbed into English. And to provide a proper context, we're going to roll the copyright roulette, and if you don't see anything after this, know that it did not work and I did not win that roulette wheel. But here is a brief clip of the English dub from the Funimation release.
Who knows when or where that damn thing will emerge next? How are the preparations coming along?
And then here's the same exact scene with the new English dub for the GKids release.
So we don't know when or where it will appear next? What do we do if it comes on land again?
So in my personal opinion, I like the GKids dub more. The Funimation dub has a very anime feel to it, whereas the GKids dub sounds more natural for a live action dub. Now, personally speaking, I'm only going to watch in Japanese because I typically just watch live action stuff in the language it was originally made, but if I was picking a dub, I'm picking the GKids dub. So in my honest opinion, we lost nothing and gained everything going from the Funimation Shin Godzilla release to the new GKids one. So overall, I'm really happy with this Shin Godzilla release, and that's important to me because I don't even like this movie that much. I know it's a hot take. A lot of people love this one. I did not care for it, and I've seen it a couple times. I find it to just be overly depressing. But in general, if you're looking for a release of Shin Godzilla, this is the best one. And for those of us that had previously owned the movie from Funimation, I do recommend picking up this new one because the on-screen text and the better color tones immediately are better. Regardless of preference on dub, I think that this is just a better release overall, not to mention that every version of the release comes with hours of bonus features, which honestly I'm willing to take a look at because the part of this movie I don't like is story stuff and the way it's paced. I really love the effect work and I want to see more about that, so I'm looking forward to diving into that bonus features disc in the future. So this is a great step up. I think Toho purchasing GKids maybe helped make this a lot clearer for the North American market what we were getting in each set, because I'm really glad to see that we did not have a repeat of Minus One, where Minus One left us confused to the point where I had to make a video. And based on the view counts and the comments on that video, it was a good thing I did because they didn't really make it clear. I'm glad that they've made it a lot clearer this time, and so hopefully going forward, it will also be this transparent and we can focus on the releases and not so much the what is where and when is why and why is this here and how many releases do I got to get everything. At least with this one, they had that option for everything, which was the Godzilla Store Collector Edition. So props to Toho, props to GKids. This is a great release, and I can highly recommend it in whichever form works best for you. So that does it for this video. If you didn't already, hit the like button, hit subscribe and the notification bell. Hit the comments down below if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or corrections. If you'd like to continue the conversation, you can join our Discord server in the link below. And if you want to get perks like early access to videos and special shoutouts, join as a channel member, help support the channel directly, and you get cool perks. Let's give some special shoutouts to our channel members. Special shout out to all of our channel members, including Captain Tears, Spin-54, Masterman95, Forever1000, Super Shaddix Boom, Mr. Smelly Tobato, Veloquince, Thiago Ribeiro, Jacobu Shiraz, Ghostly, Dr. Carver, Mr. Arrowverse 16, Parzival Joker, Sherez, Philippe Ceruno, Renato, and Gabriel Saez. Also special shout out to Lightning63 for joining at Commander tier. Thank you everybody for the support of this channel, members and viewers alike. If you so wish, I'm on social media on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Soundout12. You can also find my wonderful graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643, and you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for tokusatsu interviews and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.